said yesterday that the day after a win is easier on the coaches, but it's a matter of public record who did not skate with Vegas yesterday. How much time do you spend going down the rabbit hole of what they might throw back at you?
I think before the series or before every game, you have some ideas of what they might do, possibilities of lines, and then when you have an idea of maybe what the lines are going to be, you think about maybe the matchups and if they're going to be rolling them or having a certain line against, usually it's our top line. And then for us, we just have to, you don't want to be changing things up too much because we played a pretty good game the other night and you don't want to take away that rhythm, the flow, and how everyone's feeling. So I think it's more of getting ready for, if we don't get off to a good start, what's my plan B? And hopefully as a coach, you never want to hit that plan B.
Think about that game 5, I think, in the LA series where you guys really had it buttoned down, and then the first game of this series, how much you had it buttoned down. Is that the template, that the way you'd like to see the team play every night, and what's the difference on this?
Our team doesn't get enough credit about being fast, and it's not necessarily having burners, guys who can really up and down the ice. It's just more of a team mentality of whether it's on the defensive side or the offensive side. I think we were playing very fast with our breakouts, neutral zone transition. It's collectively, I thought we were transitioning very quickly. Defensively, that speed, and the fastest speed element you can have is thinking and knowing where the play is going to be and being in the right position to close time and space. And, one guy can't do that. It's more of a team mentality. The 5 guys that are on the ice, how well they check. And, I thought we played fairly fast last game with especially how we checked. We were moving collectively together, taking away time and space. And when we're playing our best, that's how we're playing, is just collectively we're checking very well.
You talked about just not necessarily when you go to plan B, but it seems like since you've been here in Edmonton, plan B's kind of worked out well for you. Like, how do you know sort of like when to go to plan B, when to make those adjustments, and throughout your career, like how did you get comfortable knowing like when to hit the switch versus maybe when not to hit the switch?
I think when you have a lot of good players, a good team, when you hit plan B, they can make things look like that was a good plan. That was a good idea to do that. And I think in my time here, we've had a lot of good players and a lot of guys that maybe haven't been in prominent roles. And then when we change things up, it gives them a little spark, a little energy, just changes things up. And you also think sometimes when you don't make a change, things were going to change anyways, just as the flow of the game. You weren't going to play that badly and continue on that. So, I think as a coach, you need to make changes sometime. But often, if you're doing it too many times, it runs a little dry, and players are, when things aren't going well, sometimes they're looking for, well, let's just change it up. So it's, it's a balance on how much you can do that.
But real quick, even though it's like a balance for how you do it, the fact that it seems like you've been doing it consistently since day one, like how do you sort of make it work? I know you said like, hey, it's about having good players, but like how deep into this process, like do you think about it? Is it something like you're thinking about like every day, not every day, or like sort of like how does it work?
I think in this business, coaches never have a day off. I think we're always thinking about how we can make our team better and planning for the next opponent. And, I take a lot of feedback from my players. Ask them, who do they like playing with? And so when things aren't going well, you put somebody together that they're like, oh, I haven't had an opportunity with a guy that I like, that it's more likely going to succeed rather than, we don't really mesh and I'm better off with so-and-so. So those are things I take note of, and obviously the coaching staff, and thinking about we need to be a little more physical against this line, or we have to be a little more defensive awareness, a little more speed to it, and then we have those conversations also. So, and then, during the game when we have to make that decision, it's, well, who is playing? And then all that information you took before, you can, use it to make your next decisions.
Kris, along the same vein, like you've used the same lines and pairings mostly for the last 3-4 games, which is pretty rare given all the injuries and everything that's gone on.
We're going to have to
this
switch
year.
them up.
Yeah, but I wonder how much leeway you want to give if things aren't going well. How much leeway you want to give guys because this has been working out, and you've kind of maybe found something.
It's a balance on what's going to work out, who's playing well, what the other team did, and what other lines are playing well. So it's a feel and just trying to make the best decisions at that moment. And I don't think there's we got to do this at this point. At 10 minutes, if it's not going well, we have to switch. There's a lot of factors.
With Calvin, you talked about this being the biggest stage that he's been on. What about his disposition or personality do you think kind of lends itself to handling all of this well?
I think he's just enjoying the moment. I think he's been through a long stretch of getting to where he wants to get and just being a third string goalie on a team who got a lot of call-ups and then back to the American League and then finally got his footing as an NHL regular goaltender, and now he's getting the opportunity to be getting consecutive starts in the playoffs. I don't think anything could rattle him right now. I think he's just enjoying it, and he's just his personality of being a good guy, works extremely hard, and he's enjoying the moment.
When you know a player has that disposition and can maybe handle when things go wrong for a moment or two, is it easier to stay with a guy when you know he's got that calmness about him?
I think both our goaltenders have that calmness about them. I think Stuart Skinner has rebounded very well after poor games, and next night has been outstanding. Picks, same thing. Like, I just think we've got two quality goaltenders who can handle anything. So I don't. Their personalities may be a little bit different, but my decisions are who's going to make the quality start, who's going to make the save, and go from there.
Bouchard's playing some of the best hockey of the season at the most important time.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. Is that what we come to expect, I guess, from that player?
You want the guys bringing their best games when it matters the most. It's, guys who score games 5-1, whether you're up or down and get on the score sheet, that's not really that important to get that 5-2 goal or 6-1, whatever it is. And you want the guys who like this time of the season. And obviously McDavid, Draisaitl have done this numerous times, played even remarkably even better than they have in the regular season. And then there's other guys too who have been able to do that. And Bouchard, as you mentioned, one of them, and we've talked in the last couple of weeks of Janmark and Brown, among others. But yeah, Bouchard, especially right now where we've needed him to elevate his game at home being away. We've relied on him for a lot more minutes, 5-on-5. Also been using him on the penalty kill. And you need that.
He's a guy who breaks the puck out traditionally pretty well. It seemed like you guys did that well in Game 1. What was the key to doing that, and how did that impact your offense?
Yeah, I think it starts with how well you check and coming through the neutral zone. So if you have good pressure coming back, you're forcing dump-ins a little bit earlier, which gives our defense a little more time to make those reads. And if you're playing disconnected or not having that much pressure, you're in a position to break the puck up. You're a little more vulnerable to making the play. So I think it starts with our forwards tracking back hard, our defense having good gaps, and just making the right play from there. And we're confident. We like our defense, how well they move the puck out. All season we've been a pretty good breakout team, which is good because we want to get the puck in the forwards' hands and not necessarily chip and chase, but we know that we have to do that too. But I think it starts with our back pressure and our D gaps.
Kris, is it possible to say that Evan's underrated? He already has 50 playoff assists, and somehow he's not talked about maybe as much as he should.
Absolutely. You look at what he's done. in the especially, well, we'll just talk about the playoffs. Very few defensemen have done what he's done over his last 2 years, especially. I guess underrated is just he hasn't been selected for those all-star teams, Team Canadas, those kind of things. I see him every night. I have a deep appreciation for him, and I think going forward, he'll probably get a little more recognition. But there's so many good defensemen out there, and it's a tough decision to make who you bring for certain positions. But from what I see Evans being one of the best.